So welcome everyone. My name is Dallas, and if you're looking for all things food in and around Victoria, BC, that's what we're going to be talking about here. So for my very first guest on the podcast, I have the pleasure of welcoming Chelsey from Sidney Scones. Chelsey, thank you for taking the time to chat and welcome. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm good. I'm very excited to do this.
I know. You know what? Thank you so much because like you've been on me about this. Like you've been wanting to come on here.
Yeah, totally.
And
it's exciting.
I really appreciate it because like when did I first mention it to you? It was a long time ago.
It was. I think it was near the end of the Sydney market season last year.
Was it actually? Remember the day where it was really windy at Uptown and everything was blowing around?
Oh yeah,
was
that's
it that?
Right. It was that day. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a crazy day, right?
Yes, it was a crazy day.
People are losing their tents and...
Yeah, and my tent flew up and hit some people.
Yeah.
That was scary, yeah.
Yeah, dude, don't worry. That's not a usual occurrence when you go for your scones.
That was the only time.
That was a one-time deal.
Yeah.
What were you doing today? Were you out dropping off scones?
I had just actually had a big, huge pre-order day yesterday. Yeah. And so usually what happens with that is a lot of people forget to pick up their orders. So I was just kind of coordinating pickups today to make up for all of the forgotten orders yesterday.
Oh, really? And so like last week, because I saw you last weekend, and is that what you were doing last weekend too?
Last weekend, I was going down to the morning people. That's what it's called.
Yeah, the good morning food people. You know what? I apologize to Jonathan. I can never remember what the name of the food or the truck is. I always mess it up, but it's like good morning food people or something. And I don't know why I haven't gotten it down, but I haven't.
Yeah, it's delicious. It's so good. And I was bringing them some scones to try, and I don't know, maybe we might do some kind of collaboration in the future. So
that'd be amazing. Please do.
And that just happened to be perfect timing to see you there too.
I know. I turned around. I'm like, oh, there's Chelsey.
Yeah.
And it worked out great because Amy that was with me, she had never tried your stuff.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
I think some people are afraid about the lineups.
Yes, I think so too. Yes.
Because like, and for people that aren't familiar, one of the things about Sidney Scones is they're unlike any other, like, I don't even really think of them as scones almost. They're in like their own category. Like it's something else.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you go to the Sydney market when you've been there, like you're going to be waiting for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like how does that?
I always feel so bad about that.
I know. Like how does that feel when you know that something you've made, like people are that enthusiastic about it that they're willing to wait 2 hours for that item?
It feels totally surreal. Every single week when I would like roll up to the my tent and all my staff is there like setting up for me, they're incredible, and there's a lineup already there before it's even started. People start to line up at 4 or 4:30, and it doesn't start till 5:30. So before the streets even close down, people are like congregating on the sidewalk, and then they swarm once the tent starts getting set up. But I almost every time have a good cry in the van right before I go out there, because I still am in disbelief that people will line up for something that I make. And it's like watching something on the Food Network, and it's just really cool and weird, and
that's incredible.
It makes me emotional. Yeah. But
so you legitimately like you have a little bit of a cry?
Yeah.
Like legit.
I for real cry. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like, but a good kind, not like, no, I'm scared and stressed. It's like they're still here. Good. People are still coming.
That's the passion side of it, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And I mean, last week you told me that because you did that pre-order thing last Friday.
Yeah.
And you sold, was it 1,820 minutes?
Yeah, it was really fast. A lot of them were minis though, but it was, it was a really, really fast sellout sale.
Still, like I can't imagine making 1,800 of anything first off, but then for have it sell in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like that's some craziness.
Yes, it was. It was really crazy. I was in total disbelief, and I had people commenting and saying, "Are you actually sold out already?" And I'm thinking, "Oh, there must be a glitch with the website." And I was like, yes, I am. Wow. I'm sorry. I couldn't believe it.
I know. How dare you make such a good product?
Yes, exactly. It pains me to be sold out.
So when did this all start for you? When did this all start?
So I used to be a personal chef down in California in Laguna Beach. And scones were something that I would always make for my clients. I would cater brunches and parties and just make their dinners and breakfasts and all that kind of stuff. And everyone always would request for me to make scones. Just like it was always something that like, I guess everyone really liked that I made. And then when I moved back to Victoria and I had more clients up here, it was the same thing. They all were requesting scones all the time. And one time I had a Downton Abbey watching party at my house. And I thought, oh, I'm going to make some Earl Grey tea scones to have like with our tea and watch Downton Abbey. And I made them, and I ended up bringing some to a friend who like just freaked out when she tried it. She's like, you have to sell these. You have to sell these somewhere. Like people need to try these. And I was like, no, that's weird. Scones, like gourmet scones, that's such a weird niche market. Like, yeah, there's donuts and there's cookies and there's pies and cupcakes, but I just thought I'd never heard of anything like that with scones. So then, but it got me thinking though, and I love baking, and I was just constantly experimenting with new flavors and everything. And I had a friend who ended up having to go into the hospital, and I thought, I'm going to bake her some scones, and I'm going to bake her a whole bunch of, I'm going to make a whole bunch of extra ones at the same time. And I figured out some pricing, and I thought I'm going to post it on like a local buy and sell group out here in Sydney. And so I did that. It was October 31st. It was Halloween night. And I posted at around, 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and I got no response at all, which I was like, I knew it. I knew this is weird. I knew nobody would want scones, but I hadn't really thought about how I guess all of the moms and stuff were out trick-or-treating with their kids. So no one was online. So then once everyone did get home that evening, I got 72 orders overnight. This business blew up in my face overnight.
So right from the jump.
Yeah, completely. Like right off the get-go, I couldn't even believe it. And it just kept going and going and going because it's such a nice, small, supportive community in Victoria in general, but then even Sydney is even smaller and everyone talks. And yeah, people started requesting flavors and wanting to get like large amounts for stuff. One person started buying them for after her exercise class that she taught as a treat.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so I started writing my business card out on Post-it notes because I had no name. I had no business card. So people were saying, oh, well, my friend wants to know how she can get a hold of you and she doesn't have the internet. And so, yeah, I was writing out that. And then, yeah, I hadn't even thought about packaging. That was a big thing that I had never even thought about. That became a challenge, but I quickly realized pizza boxes were the answer. So that's what I started doing. I went to Mariner's Pizza in Sydney and bought a whole bunch of boxes from them. Yeah. And then people would come and pick up and I'd ask them to bring their Tupperware or something too and just swap it out. And yeah, but that was how it all started out.
It's just like out of someone telling you need to do this. And
yeah,
like where did you get the first recipe? Did you come up with that totally or?
Yeah, all the recipes are completely my own. Everything comes out of my head. I don't actually really have any recipes written down.
Well, first off, who else is making Dunkaroo scones? Like who's thinking to do that? Obviously, there's not going to be anybody doing that, right?
Yes. Yeah. I hope not. Yeah. I love to take things that I love to eat or nostalgic things or that kind of thing and just turn it into scone form. Like I love to, like stuffing. Like I make one that tastes like stuffing at a turkey dinner.
Have you done that?
And yeah.
Of course you have.
One of my favorite things that I invented or whatever, because now people buy them by the dozens around like October and December, and they use that as stuffing at their turkey dinners. So they just crumble them up and they make a really good turkey sandwich too. And
how many flavors do you think you've done?
I was just talking about that with a neighbor on my front lawn today who walked by and asked if she could buy some scones, and I had some. But I think probably about 250 to 300 different flavors. Wow. Especially across the board with the keto that I do and vegan and gluten-free and all of that. There's a huge rotating list of flavors.
Because you always essentially have something for someone, right? Like you cover all the bases. Like everybody is going to be able to eat something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I do. I tried very hard to get like I think the only one I maybe don't really hit is like raw or paleo.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything else I try to accommodate all of the big ones, and I have like a lot of little kids who are able to eat them, which is really nice because so many kids have allergies these days, and it makes me happy to be able to make them treats. And I have tons of celiac clients, which is also awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then the keto.
Is it common for scones to be like be able to get a celiac version of that? I don't really ever see any when I see gluten-free stuff.
Yeah, no, not usually. And I mean, and I don't bake in a dedicated gluten-free kitchen or anything like that, but I do take a lot of precautions to make sure that there is no cross contamination. But of course, I can't guarantee it. But I use separate utensils and like do it all before any other times, or I'll do days where I only make gluten-free or something like that. Just because I know how important it is. It's
Yeah, of
very important.
course. Oh yeah,
Well,
you can't
yeah.
mess around with that.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so I've never had, so I have return celiac clients, which is great. And I've never had anyone have an adverse reaction or anything. So that makes me happy. And I've at markets before, when it gets to the end of the market, usually the only thing left is like gluten-free or gluten-free vegan. And so people will just buy it because they have to, and then they don't believe it's gluten-free. So that's a great compliment too.
That's amazing.
I tried really hard to make sure all my recipes still taste delicious and are not like dried out and like hockey pucks or sawdust, you know?
Yes, I've never had anything you've made that tasted anything like that. One that stands out to me is the strawberry and Devonshire cream.
Yes.
Was that one
Yeah.
of the first ones you did?
It was like, yeah, it was within the first few months. It was one of the, I just thought about how like everyone here, we love to go and have high tea, and strawberry jam and Devonshire cream and scones are a perfect match. And so I looked into making my own clotted cream. It's technically, yeah, it's clotted cream. I hate the word clotted when it comes to describing food. So I call it Devonshire, but it's not technically Devonshire because Devonshire is a place in England that has like very high fat whipping cream that allows you to make like the real Devonshire cream. I've never tried it still, but so yeah, I tried making that, and I thought, oh, I'm going to make like a strawberry glaze, and I used some local strawberries from a farm, and that like I posted that on the group, and people just went bonkers for that. That is still to this day like one of the best top sellers is the strawberry Devonshire cream for sure.
Is there a flavor you've wanted to make that you haven't been able to like do it, or you just haven't got sort of the flavor down that you're looking for?
There has only been one.
Only one. So you're chasing this one.
So far, it's a chocolate malt one. I wanted to do like a malted chocolate, like Ovaltine, you know, or
Okay.
Maltesers,
Yeah.
you know. And I tried to make that one time, and I even actually like posted the story on my Instagram as I was doing it, and then I deleted all the stories and everything because it was such a fail. I was like, I don't want this to exist. But I couldn't get the flavor to come through as much as I had wanted to. So I have to go back to it and experiment. But I really wanted to taste that malty chocolate milk. Like, do you remember those like frozen little cups you could get with a wooden spoon? Those
100%.
malted, yeah, that's what I wanted to try and get across in there, and it wasn't coming through. So I said, nope.
How long is the process when you're like developing a new flavor? Like you get an idea, like I want to do this. Yeah. How long does it take you to be able to get to like your idea to somebody actually trying it?
I kind of do things differently because I don't actually really test out stuff before I do it. So when I think of my menu for whatever week or day, or I know what kind of flavors go well together. I know how my scone dough works and my process and my method, and I know what will be delicious, you know, with butter and flour and sugar and cream, you know. So it's not a huge process for me. I kind of wing it. And it has worked out every time. And that was the one time I did the malt. That was my only like real testing one. And it didn't work out, but I hadn't been planning it for a market or anything like that. So
do you know how many people are jealous right now that you just said you wing everything? And it just like, and then you have this thing where people are lining up for 2 hours.
I guess I don't really think about it. Like my staff will make me think about that because I'll be trying to, like when I try to teach bakers how to do what I do, it's really hard for me to teach because I I'll just say, okay, well, pour that much in. And they're like, well, what's the measurement? I said, well, I'll let you know when I see it, how it looks in the dough. And I just do everything by like my eyes or by estimating or like just, yeah, it's a tricky thing to teach for sure.
Isn't that amazing once you get that, like that sixth sense where you just, you don't like, it's just, you just know.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's awesome. And, I usually just wing it. And the other day, what was I doing? Oh, I was doing like a full-on Dunkaroos day, Sconeroo. I don't know if I can say Dunkaroo scone because they're back now at 7-Eleven. I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know they're actually available. I mean, you showed me like a photo on the other last weekend, but
yeah, they've come back now. So I'm like, oh, they're going to probably come after me if I start using their name.
Hashtag Dunkaroos.
Yeah. Yes. Sconeroos. Yeah. But I was doing one. What was I doing? Oh, I did a cinnamon cream cheese one, and I did a strawberry one. And with the strawberry one, I just like that day as I was doing it, I just was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna add this. I'll do this, and yep, that's gonna taste good. And it did, thank goodness. But it just is I don't know. I just kind of do it as I go along, and which is fun because it keeps it really creative, and I'm able to stay really passionate about it that way. I don't really limit myself with recipes and measurements and exact. Like, yeah, the base of the dough is usually very exact, but it's all the add-ins that differ.
And how often do you get people like sort of coming to you and being like, hey, you should make this flavor?
Like,
it must be all the time.
Yeah, I do. And I love hearing it. But like one of the challenges among my staff is to try and come up with a flavor that I've never done or thought of. And that's a tricky one. And it's few and far between, but like, yeah, every once in a while there'll be something that I haven't done. And I love experimenting it like with it. One time I had a scone test. And I, whatever the winning thing was they would win some free scones, and they would get to choose what my feature flavor was for the market that week. And that was really fun to see everyone's suggestions and get to make something custom for someone.
And so the kitchen you're in right now, is it the same kitchen you've always been in?
No, I actually just moved kitchens about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Yeah. Yes, I had been in the same kitchen I had initially been out of my house, and then I looked into VIHA regulations and realized you cannot do that. And so I started renting a commercial kitchen space because also Thrifties had come to me and was wondering if I might be interested in doing wholesale and selling them for them to sell in a few other coffee shops and stuff. And so you have to be baking out of a commercial kitchen for that, especially. So I've been in the same kitchen for about 3.5 years. Yeah. But it just kind of outgrew the kitchen space and needed something with a little more room. And there was tons of other like food producers in the same kitchen. And so when I go in there, it's a really big production. And I didn't want to step on any toes or get in anyone's way. And so I actually had someone call me, the owner of Bogart Cafe in Brentwood Bay. And he had been calling me because the Sydney market was canceled this year. And he was wondering if there was any chance I might want to do a little like tiny farmer's market that he was going to be holding every Thursday night in the parking lot of his cafe. And then he also said, are you looking for a commercial kitchen space at all? And I said, well, yes, actually I am. And it just happened to work out perfectly. And yeah, the new kitchen is amazing. And now he sells my scones too throughout the week. And he has asked if I could make him a custom scone flavor for him. And he came up with something I've never done. And he calls it the Bogart scone. And he's a sailor, and he has this favorite drink. It's called a Raleigh Jodger. So it's like a Jolly Roger, but if you've been drinking, you say it wrong. And so it's a bitter orange and ginger scone with a rum and lime glaze.
Ooh.
And so that is so it's like a drink in a scone form.
Is that always available there at his place?
And that's only available there. Like I make it exclusively for him, which I love that he came to me and asked me to do that too, because it shows that he, I don't know, respects me and is excited about me being there and also passionate and creative. So I had fun doing that. And yeah, that's his.
Because how many people do you have, like when you're making these things, how many people are there working with you in the kitchen?
Well, usually there's 5 or 6 people at the same time. And we pull big long days. Like it's usually 60 to 70 hours collectively that day between me and all of my incredible staff. They are all, I have a really good team. And it's a big day because everyone always thinks, oh, you must be baking all week for Friday. And no, I don't. I bake everything the day of. And we do all the prep and make glazes and all that kind of stuff. But you can't eat day-old scones or 2-day-old scones, or like gotta have them fresh.
You could do it, but it won't be be up to like your caliber. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. There was a few times last year or 2 years ago when I first started out, and I had some early morning markets. It's really hard to find staff to work from midnight till 8 a.m. to get to a 10 a.m. market. So we had made them like the evening before, and like it was fine and everything tasted great, but it's still like if you finish doing it all by midnight, and the scones are just sitting there for 10 hours until the market starts. And it pains me to have that happen. So I really like to make sure everything's fresh.
Like if you do have a market, when do they sort of get out of the oven? Like if there's a market at 4:00.
Yeah. So for the Sydney market at 5:30, the last scones come out probably like 4:45.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So you're really pushing the limit here.
So when I bring the savory scones are always the last ones because they don't need any glazes or anything. So we just like put them on the cooling racks in the boxes and away I go. And they're hot when I get to the market still. Yeah.
So do you prefer sweet or savory? Where do you fall?
I prefer sweet.
Okay. That's where I am too. A lot of my friends seem to prefer savory. Yeah. So like last weekend when I was with Amy, I think she is more savory. So I'm like perfect.
Yeah, yes.
Because it's like I'll take the other side of this thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Which that chocolate espresso, I think it was the little mini, like the mini one. That thing was insane.
Oh, thank you. That was the one that people freaked out about the most. Like I made a mini samplers box kind of thing, and so that was one of the new flavors I had put in there, and just to kind of get a response and see what people love the most. And that was hands down, like people just went insane for that.
That thing blew my mind.
Yeah. So yesterday when I did my pre-order event, I made it in like big scone form because so I have a whole bunch of them at my house right now. Too bad we're not in person. I could have.
No, I don't. That'd be deadly. Like I would just gorge and like I wouldn't be able to move. Like seriously.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes. That was a good one though.
And when I did see you last week, someone told me afterwards you'd gone to like the bike shop and dropped some off there. Have you been going around town just like taking scones into different places?
Kind of. That's funny. Someone told you. Yes, last week, like my big baking day event, it was a whole bunch of mini assorted scones and Dunkaroos scones. And the reason I don't normally do mini assorted boxes because they're so tiny and tedious to do a whole bunch of little scones. And so I usually just do my big ones. But I had a few nurses contact me for Nurses Week saying that it was among the staff, they wanted to have Sidney Scones for their treat for Nurses Week. So they said, is there any chance you would do this? Like, I know you don't usually do like special requests and this and that. And I was like, I'm going to plan an entire event around this. Sounds awesome. I would love to bake for the nurses and all that they're doing right now. And then they're saying how they have like a really small budget. And I'm like, okay, well, I would really like to make it so they didn't have to pay for these at all. But I'm also thinking like 650 scones is what they needed. So like, how could I do this? But then it turned out all my staff volunteered their time to come in that day and bake up all the scones. And then what I did was that I sold boxes to the public as well. And every single box that was sold to the public, the entire proceeds and profits just went to the ingredients for those nurses. So everyone got their scones, everyone was happy. And then I had a bunch of extra ones left too. And so I had put in my post like, hey guys, like where should I bring more scones if I have them? And a lot of people said like retirement homes and old folks homes. And so I dropped some off at a few places out in Sydney and then police stations. I never usually get down to like the Vic PD or Saanich PD. So I was able to go drop off to there as well. And then, I went to Fairfield Bicycle to go buy a bike. And the guy, they were all just so helpful. But the one guy who helped me out, I was like, hey, do you want some scones? I got some scones here. And another big request was people was saying daycare and childcare centers. But it was upsetting because that day there's nothing open, so I can't really go drop anything off. But that's next on my list for sure, because they're definitely putting themselves in the front line with the kids and for the frontline workers and everything,
Yeah, thank you for doing that. When I saw the post about the nursing drop off you did, that's like I can't thank you enough for doing something like that and being able to think of a way, like you just said, that could happen.
It's awesome to be able to. And everyone who bought, that's why that sold out in 20 minutes, because everyone knew, hey, we're buying scones for nurses. And I'd actually even had like a few people who had like credits with me and stuff. And they said, hey, I don't need that credit anymore. Just put it towards the nurses thing that you're doing this week. Wow. And
shout out to those people.
Yeah, they're amazing. And my staff were so.
Shout out to them too. Yes, definitely. Yeah. Everyone involved, you and everybody. Shout out to everyone. Thank you.
Totally. It was fantastic. Yeah.
So sort of going back through the evolution of all of this, you were doing wholesale at one point.
Yes.
And then, so one thing I actually really appreciated about that when you pulled back is that you did it sort of on your own terms. Mm-hmm. I can imagine there must have been pressure. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but there must have been pressure to keep going and like push harder. Yeah. What sort of was the process there that caused that to happen, where you pulled back?
So the short story is I got so busy that I didn't want to keep going with how busy I was. It was was really weird for people to try and understand, but it was it just I started selling to Thrifty Foods, and then about 30 different coffee shops in Sydney and downtown, like Habit and Picnic and Toast Cafe out in Sydney, and Thrifties and Market on Yates, and just all kinds of different places. And Root Cellar, I started selling to Root Cellar as well. And they actually became like the absolute biggest sellers. I couldn't believe, sorry, my screen. Something just happened with my screen. Sorry.
Did it go to screensaver?
Yeah, I'm not. No, okay, there we go. I just started, I don't know, I guess it just really kind of started taking off with people wanting to buy them. And so it was getting to be more and more and more to stock these stores. And it was hard because it was the more staff that I started hiring, the more I was not getting to do and enjoy the part of my business that I loved, which was like the creating and like the passion for it and the excitement of talking to people face to face. I would bake through the night and then not get to see anyone, and then hand over quality control to all these stores, which was really hard. Stuff would be mislabeled quite often, or things would get left out longer than they should have been. So then people's first time trying a Sidney scone is a 3-day-old scone, that was really hard when that kind of thing was happening. But also because I had to sell them for a cheaper price, obviously, so these vendors could make their profit, it limited what I could make, because I didn't want to make all these like big, expensive, fancy flavors because I would be out of pocket for it,
Yeah, of course.
And then, the more staff I had, they're amazing. But I mean, if someone calls in sick, well, who's on call 24/7? That's me, which was really hard for me to wrap my head around. I never really I don't know, when I was a little girl and I wanted to be a baker or a cook and everything, when I grew up, that was not what I had in mind. It was just working like a vampire at night, like working through the night and sleeping in the day and not getting to see people. But when I did markets, that was my favorite part about the business, is being at the market, seeing the excitement of everyone, helping, serving people, thanking people, talking to people, finding out they're from Arkansas and they heard about my scones and they've been waiting to come up there, or coming from a cruise ship, or someone in India. It's just so cool meeting people. And
did you have someone from India that heard about it while they're in India?
Yeah. Yes. through friends somehow.
Okay.
I guess it just, that would happen quite often in the summer at the Sydney market. And that was always my favorite. It's just that, I guess if people would find out, they're going to Victoria, people would say, well, you got to try these scones at the market or something like that. So, so that was my favorite part about the business, and everything else just I was just losing my joy for doing it and my passion. And it was getting to be so busy. And the busier it got, the more staff I needed, and the more staff, the more your business relies on people who are not invested in your company, like I am. No one ever will be, of course, and you can't expect them to be. So, it was really hard to navigate. And so I had to make the decision to just do the part that I loved about it. And that's what I did. And it was the best decision I ever made.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm all in on self-awareness and doing things that bring you value and make you as happy as they can,
Yeah.
Cut out all the stuff that doesn't bring you happiness and just do what you, but I also acknowledge there would be a lot of pressure when you have all these opportunities to keep going, even though you might not feel good, but it's like, I can keep making money.
Yeah, exactly.
But then you're going to burn yourself out.
Totally. And that was what for me, I don't do it to be making money. I really like what I do, and I'm very fortunate to be able to have it as a job and make money at it. But it's not I'm not out, and everyone's always like, why don't you start a store? Or why don't you franchise this? Or go on Dragon's Den. You have to go on Dragon's Den. And I'm not interested in doing any of that. I'm not interested in becoming this big, huge, blown up franchise or something like that. And I like this nice little island and community and support and this little niche market that I have. And I like to keep it small and be a part of the community. And
yeah, no, I love that. You have my absolute respect. And every time I see you anywhere, you always have a huge smile. So
yes.
No, you're doing a great job.
By nature.
What's that?
I'm a happy person by nature. That's for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you did mention something to me recently, some new thing that was happening. Did you want to mention what that was? Or is it just not a good time?
Okay. The cafe that I started.
That might have been what it was. I don't actually know what it was. You just mentioned something.
Right. It was probably that I normally never do wholesale.
Exactly. It was probably that. You mentioned that word and I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You were down this road and then you stopped and now, okay. So you're keeping it. So it is wholesale, but it's a small, one exclusive item, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah. He's got a vegan and a gluten-free scone, a savory scone, and then his exclusive flavor.
Perfect.
And he'd even said, he's like, maybe don't post about this because I don't want people coming in and buying 20 at a time. Or and it's funny though, but the first day he had them all, I didn't post about it at all. It was unknown and they sold out. So I guess people went and bought them and then came back and bought more because they loved them, which was awesome.
And so they have them every day there?
So they're open Wednesday through Saturday and they have them all of those days. Yeah.
And what was the name of that place again?
The Bogart Cafe.
Okay.
In Brentwood Bay. Yeah, it's an awesome place. And this guy, nobody knows about it. And they make
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, exactly. And they make everything from scratch. And they buy only from local farmers and producers. And the other day, he was making some avocado toast with a baguette from Fry's and a preserved lemon aioli with microgreens from a local farm, an avocado and local heirloom tomatoes, and a glug of good olive oil. And he came back and gave it to me and all my girls, and we're like, what is this? It was so fancy and beautiful and so delicious. And just nobody seems to know about all that this guy is doing with these delicious foods that he makes. And I told him he needs to let me take over his social media.
I don't know. Yeah. Sometimes I wonder with that if these little things that can sort of actually still stay hidden in 2020, mm-hmm. like if they do get out there, how does that change the product or the business?
Totally. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so completely. Yes.
Maybe it's good that it's just sort of like this hidden little thing that obviously only real locals know about.
Yes. Yeah, totally. It's really hard not to constantly blast about everything because he's usually in there cooking at the same time where his head chef is right beside us. And we're all constantly just like, what? Like they chopping and doing everything from scratch, no mixes and preservatives. And it's just really surprising. Yeah. But awesome. I'm very happy to be in that space.
And it sounds like, like it sounds like mutual. Like he's just excited to have you.
Totally. Yeah.
Perfect.
It's great. And it's a very nice arrangement. Yeah.
It's amazing how when you put good energy out, like things organically just happen, you attract things and
I'm glad that it happened for sure.
And with all the craziness going on in the world with COVID, how has it been treating you as far as has business been good?
Business has never been better, which is weird.
Okay.
It's actually like I really had been worried, obviously, when all this first started. I was all set up to do the crafted farmhouse market. And that's like a big market in the spring, and I love it. I'm actually a sponsor of it as well because I love it so much. And the girls that Ashley and Stephanie that organize it are just amazing. And everything had just started happening. And so about, I think it was 19 hours before the baking would have started for me, it got canceled. And that's a lot of money worth of ingredients and a lot of hours of planning and paying my staff for all that prep and everything. And it was just totally canceled. And the social distancing was put in place too. So it was like, okay, well, we can't even be really baking or anything in the kitchen. And then childcare was gone. And so most of my staff and we just couldn't work. And so I was just like, all right, well, my business is done for right now because I just thought that I would just have to ride it out and wait to see what happened. But then I found out that food services and businesses are considered essential services, which for me, I struggled with that for a few weeks because I thought, well, no, my scones are not essential to anyone. They're not an essential something. And I was afraid of people saying, hey, why are you doing this? And trying to get people to leave their house. And like, you shouldn't be doing that. You should be encouraging people staying home. And so I was quite afraid of the local backlash. So
I was worried, on a side note, I was worried about that with my Instagram, encouraging people to leave their house. And that's why for a month, part of the reason why I didn't post anything was I wasn't leaving, and I didn't want to, I'm on the same page as you.
Yep, totally. Yeah. I didn't want to encourage it, but I eventually got to the point of like, oh, okay, I need to work now.
Of course.
I need to figure out what, but I mean, the beauty of my business is that I am perfectly set up for it with the rule became it has to either be takeout or delivery. So I did start doing delivery. That was one option I started offering. And then when people come and picked up from the kitchen that I rented, it's just like put the box down and put it on a table, step away, person grabs the box, they're gone. Like it was, or they could drive up and pop their trunk, put it in their trunk. They never even get out of their car. So I eased my guilt by thinking, okay, no, like this is fine. They're not exposing themselves to like a big restaurant or a mall or anything like that. It's an outdoor parking lot where I would hand everything off. And so, and then, I had way, way, way less staff, like only 1 or 2 members, and just a lot more prep. And then I also started doing frozen ready to bake scones. Cause I thought, that's something I'd been wanting to do for a while. And I thought, well, I guess I'll just kind of expedite this process I had thought of doing. And then people started stockpiling my scones, and that really took off as well. It was really a great idea. And it allowed me to be able to like do a lot more prep and stock ahead of time and not have to do as much the day of when I didn't have staff, which worked out well.
Is that still available? Can people get those scones to bake at home?
They can soon. So when I left the old kitchen that I was in, the guy who owned it had these 2 amazing vacuum sealing machines, but they're his, and he let me use them, which was wonderful of him. But I had to buy my own going to this new kitchen. So I'm just waiting for that to come all the way from China. So it's probably another few weeks before that will come. And then that is something that will be offered regularly again.
How excited are you going to be when those things show up, or that thing?
Yes, it'll be amazing.
Are you gonna like? Yeah. I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait. It'll be awesome.
Is there do people approach you very often about collaborations? Do you ever get
Um,
approached?
yes, I do. A lot more since the whole COVID thing started. Like it was here and there, and it was not something I really thought about a lot either. I think just because I was so busy with whatever I was doing, and like I didn't necessarily need a bunch more people coming to events I was doing or something because I always feel bad about people having to wait in line. But yeah, ever since the COVID thing happened, I totally started doing more collaborations, and it's been amazing, and I love it. And it's been great exposure for me or whoever else. And yeah, it's just really neat to see so many businesses reaching out and trying to all help one another out to help everyone know that, hey, we're doing this and it works and it's great. And yeah, it's been really, really cool. Like I collaborated with Dumpling Drop, which
Yes, I want to. Tarn is actually one of the people I want to get on the
awesome.
podcast ASAP.
Yeah, I bet, because I'm sure she has. I would love to hear whatever she has to say. She's so sweet.
Shout out to Tarn, because when I was in Japan, me and Anton, or Anton and I, she was sending us like, go here, go here, go here, because she knows Japan. So I'm excited to talk to her about that even too.
That's neat. I loved watching all of your videos and pictures and everything through that.
I can't believe that we got back here on January 21st, which is like the day that sort of everything in North America was like COVID was even talked about, really. Yeah.
Whoa. Wow.
Like 12 days or 12 cities in 13 days was insane.
Whoa. Holy cow. That is insane. I have goosebumps. It's weird. Like, that's crazy.
I kind of think everyone needs to go to Japan because it's so different, but it was such an amazing, I can't even put into words how amazing it was.
Cool. I would love to. I loved seeing all of the things that you were posting.
Do you get to travel very often?
I go to California a lot.
Okay.
Back and forth between there. And I've been to the farthest I've been like over in Europe, like gone to New York and Toronto, is Italy. Like I did 6 weeks in Italy and just went from Venice to Naples and everywhere in between. And that was an incredible trip of incredible food. But I really want to go more. I really want to go to England. I really want to go to England to the mother place of scones, you know. And it's where all my family immigrated from, though. Too, they immigrated to Pender Island, and then and they have like love letters that they had written to each other, and so everything is very detailed about like where I could go to where my family was over there. And then, of course, because I'm scone obsessed, I have a little list of all these different places I want to go and try scones, and then go to Devonshire and try real Devonshire cream. And one day, I can't wait. It was my big plan to go after the Sydney market this year.
Oh, really?
In September. Yeah, it was that. I finally was like, okay, I'm doing it. And don't think that'll happen.
Not right now, but I guess it'll give you more time to sort of plan out more stuff that you can do.
Yeah, exactly. And more castles to see and Beatrix Potter houses to visit.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Is there anything else you wanted to talk about, to mention?
What am I going to be doing upcoming? I'm just trying to do an event every Friday right now. That's like my big thing. I also got contacted by someone that you recommended. They contact me, Anton. Is that his name? Yeah. Yeah. And he wants me to do some very special scones for an exclusive dinner next Friday. And I meant to say thank you for that. I'm really excited to do that.
Well, I can't wait to hear you didn't mention this to me. He's the one I went to Japan with.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that it? He's the one who owns Nubo?
He doesn't own it, but he sort of like he was the guy running Ine, and now he's sort of at Nubo. They have a new restaurant, the Cube, I think Cube Food Box.
Yeah.
And then there's Sarah as well, which is a Korean restaurant. But those are all Sean's restaurants, and he owns all 4 of them, and Anton is sort of overlooking a lot of stuff right now.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. So he I guess you said something to him, and I'm so stoked to create something for him and his dinner guests. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I can imagine kind of what that's for, I think. I don't know. They've been doing some cool stuff.
Yeah.
And Ine, it's closed right now, but if anybody gets a chance to go when it opens back up, being in Japan, like restaurants only serve one thing. Ine is the equivalent of like 30 restaurants in Japan shoved into one. And it's if you like Japanese food, they crush it.
Oh man, sweet. I can't wait to try it.
Like, what's your favorite spot out there out in Sydney? Where do you go to
eat?
Yeah.
That's a good question. The Fickle Fig. The Fickle Fig or
I could
Quince.
see that. Like your stuff would be like perfect in there. You know what I mean? Like it goes hand in hand.
Yeah. We actually were going to do a collaboration this summer. I'm so upset we won't. We're going to have a big, huge Alice in Wonderland high tea party and do like a big like scones and high tea. And I was going to decorate their whole garden all Alice in Wonderland, like Mad Hatter style. I'm a Disney fiend. So we just talked about, hey, let's do this. And we were going to do it in June and now we can't, but next year we're going to try for next year.
Absolutely.
Like I love Mitchell and Josh there. They just make everything they make is so good. I actually just had a sausage roll from there this afternoon. I've recently discovered they make the best sausage rolls I've ever tasted.
Okay.
And so only on the weekends. And I guess somehow they've always been sold out every time I go. So I discovered it about 2 weekends ago and just everything. I love that place and everything they stand for and how much they make everything from scratch and get stuff from all these local farmers and really support the community in that way. Yeah.
That's good to hear because I've never met them. And I love everything you're saying. Like that's what I'm all about. Kind of like Harvest Road. Do you ever go to Harvest Road?
Harvest Road, I love so much too. Yes.
Yeah. Brendan and Jenny, I love them. Like they're as ethical as it gets.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. They deserved that award that they got.
Yes.
Yeah. But, and their fries, I don't know what it is, but they have the best fries of anywhere I've had on the island. I love them so much.
As far as I know, no gluten goes in that fryer. So like anyone can go and have those fries. I believe. I don't want to, I hope I'm not making that up, but yeah.
Yeah. We'll find out. Yeah. I can't wait for them to, I don't know when they'll be opening.
They're going to be open soon, I think.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I don't know when, but I think it was going to be very soon.
Awesome. Yeah. I love Fickle Fig Quince Cafe.
Never heard of that.
Coffee shop right near the end towards the pier. They just make everything from scratch, just like small amounts of everything and sell Lavazza coffee and the owners are so sweet. The staff is amazing. They have ice cream in the summer there too. They're totally like what I would want to have if I had a little coffee shop. And then also this other place that nobody seems to know about, Porto Osteria.
Yes, I've been there.
Yeah, you did? Yeah.
Down at the, is it the marina?
Yeah, the used to
Canoe
be
Cove or something?
Canoe Cove.
Way down at the end.
Yeah, like right out by the ferries, and no one would ever think to go there or look there, but they just make incredible Italian food, and the whole vibe in there is awesome. The owners are so sweet. They make all their pasta from scratch and by hand, and it really reminded me of going to places in Italy to eat. Like I loved it. Yeah. But yeah, those are a few of my favorites.
I really enjoyed my visit there. Yeah. What about the Surly Mermaid?
Yes. Oh, I love Surly. Yes. I'm so happy they just opened up again last week.
Yeah.
Last week, I think it was. They used to sell my scones for their brunch on Sundays. And so I wouldn't get paid. I would get paid in Surly gift certificates because it works for me. And so, that's definitely one of my favorite places. And they got a whole bunch of new items on their menu and it's really yummy. And then 10 Acres is going in out here.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. Instead of Harrow's at the pier, it's going to be 10 Acres.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. There's something I didn't know. Yeah.
And they've taken over like the coffee shop too. Like it's now being run by 10 Acres. I think it's called like the Georgia or something cafe, but now it's run by 10 Acres. So that's kind of exciting. I can't wait till whenever that happens.
There we go. I feel like a lot of people overlook Sydney for food. Like a lot of people don't, it's not that far. Like it's really not.
And there's and that's just like, Deep Cove Market is incredible.
I've never been there.
It's where
I've never been to the chalet either.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I haven't been there either. I haven't been to the chalet. But I met Harry and Megan at Deep Cove Market. That was kind of exciting for me.
Oh, there you go.
I gave them my business card and told them to buy scones for me. That was awesome.
Did they get scones?
Deep Cove Market.
Did they get scones from you?
No, not yet.
Okay.
She said that they were leaving town, but they would be back soon, and that she wanted to come back, or she wanted to get in touch with me and try the Earl Grey scone because they were so lovely, and they asked like what flavors that are my most popular and where it's located, and asked about just I don't know. They just kept the conversation going. And it was really cool, and I'm glad I worked up the courage to go give them my business card. Maybe one day I'll get to bake some scones.
Of course, actually one spot out there. Chong Tong, I think that's the name, or Chon Tong. Have you ever been there? The Thai food restaurant?
No. Oh,
it's in the middle of like a residential neighborhood.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah, I know the one, and it's the fish and chips place.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, that's really good there.
So yeah, people.
They're a little hidden gem, and the fish on Fifth. They have like an entirely huge secret vegan menu that nobody knows about.
Really?
Yeah, they can make almost everything vegan. They have vegan fish and chips that I don't even understand how it's done, because the vegan fish, fried fish, and the tartar sauce, it's like, it tastes incredible. You'd never know it's vegan. Yeah. And then they also have Dole Whip, like what you can only usually get at Disneyland, like pineapple whipped soft serve. Yeah. And the Farmer's Daughter, the wine and cheese
I've never
bar.
been there. I really would love to check that place out.
It's amazing. Also, yeah. There's a lot of places. Spitfire Grill is good. Dakota Cafe has incredible wonton soup. Melinda's Biscotti has one of my favorite breakfast sandwiches. Super simple but delicious. Yeah, there's lots of places.
Yeah. So everybody listening, if you don't go to Sydney, you just gave like 20 reasons to go there.
Yeah, totally. Oh, also another one I actually thought about. I wanted to tell you this. There's a corner store at the corner of McTavish and East Sandwich. I think it's right across from the Roost. I don't know if you've ever heard of it or been there, but the guys who own it, they bring in like American products. So like American chocolate bars and gum and cereal and like all this candy and cool stuff that you cannot get up here.
Really?
And the whole store is just full of all these like crazy products. And like last night I finished my big scone baking day and it was 11 at night. And I was like, what, is there open sign on? And it's like, are you guys open? He's like, yeah, if we're here, we're open. And I go in there, I just spent like half an hour. I took a bunch of pictures to actually send you to show you all the cool stuff they had in there. And I just always overlook it. And yeah, it's pretty neat there. That's
across from the Roost.
Yeah. Right across from the Roost on McTavish. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I had no idea about this.
Yeah.
I feel like there are some little grocery stores, like little corner ones, just either in the West Shore, Victoria, or whatever, that are doing what you're saying, and just nobody knows about them.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. So now I've outed it, and now there will be no more American cereal for me.
I'm going to have to go see the spot. No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Awesome. This has been fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I have loved it.
Yeah, no, this has been absolutely awesome. So thank you very much, everybody. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay. Bye. But I made this one. I don't know if you can see it really good right there.
Yeah.
It's a rhubarb oat crumble with a honey glaze.
Oh my God.
It's so freaking good. Like I made it last year too when rhubarb was in season, and I just need to cut up enough rhubarb to make it all year because it's one of my favorites. It's so good. Oh, I love it so much. And yeah, the like honey butter glaze. It's funny because it's actually one of my least favorite to make because you can see the glaze doesn't really show up. So it's really hard to get the honey to not be see-through. But like this, I love this because you can really see what it's doing there. But so I don't like to make the honey one because I'm like, oh, it doesn't look as pretty, but it's so good that I have to.
But once someone has that in their face, like it doesn't matter what it looks like.
Yeah, exactly. It's totally.
Like, oh my God, their brain's blowing out of their head. And
exactly. Right? Yep. And the feedback that I got from it yesterday, I'm like, okay, yeah, I need to make this more often and put that honey glaze on other things.
And that coffee one.
Yes. Yeah, I have that one hiding right there. I have a lot of them right now.